Hello, Ryan here with another Uncomplication. Happy March 4th. This has been one of my favorite days of the year. It's the only day that is a command. March 4th. Keep moving, soldier. Get out there. Bring your heart, bring yourself to the world, and live your life today. Today is a great day to March 4th. I wanted to share a whole host of things with you. We're going to look at crypto, we're going to look at the market a little bit, only in so much as it ties into you and me in this human happening and all of the crazy stuff that's going on right now. I wanted to start with this beautiful image. I just did a Google search of beautiful landscape, and just to have a moment of reflection of how big and beautiful this world is, how seemingly crazy humans are, but that we come out of this same system, this same whatever it is that's doing all of these things. And what we're going to look at today and talk about are some of those structures, some of the forms of the human happening that we can actually look at and we can think about, and we can look at where in the past certain things happened and how we can see today's moment not as just pure chaos and craziness and personalities and hopes and dreams and desires, but as a beautiful expression of whatever it is the universe does. And I like that big zoomed out picture because to me that is the heart of Uncomplication, is seeing ourselves outside of our day-to-day personal drama or frustration or joy or sorrow, but to have that moment of realization that everything is in its place. Maybe not be the place that we want it to be or where we think it should be, but it is in its place, and none of us would be here to even think or talk about it if everything hadn't happened exactly the way it happened. So a little meditation here at the beginning, and I'm speaking to myself as much as anyone because I get stressed out about things. I definitely get wrapped up in my own story, and I beat myself up about all the things I should have done, would have done, could have done. But here we are, and we only really have one option, and that is to March 4th. So let's take a look at what the world is doing, what we're doing in it, and let's use the markets as a reference point, as something we can draw on and talk about, some structure. If I was just to go wide and crazy about inflation and about the Ukraine and all of the things that are happening in the world, we don't really have anything tangible to look at or talk about. And so I have been valuing these charts and graphs more and more just as a focal point for conversation. So behold the almighty dollar. Here is the DXY. This is the US dollar currency index. It shows the purchasing power of the US dollar over time. And we can see, going back to where this chart starts in 1985, when my sister was born, we were in this big fall of the DXY. We've never been back to this level of the US dollar. And I'm sure if we went and looked at the news at any one of these points, what was happening in June of 1989? I don't know, but it kicked off a big drop in the DXY. Here we have around that dot-com bubble, right around 2000, 2001, 2002, and really a break point here in April of 2002. The DXY just slid into oblivion. The dollar lost about 40% of its purchasing power. And there's a whole bunch of things that were happening at that time and place before we kind of crawled our way back up here in 2008 and 2009 and had another little drop. So why am I showing this? I want to zoom in on the current moment in time and see how it ties in to other events that are taking place, and trying to infer from this what might happen next and what that might actually look like for us as little planetary inhabitants, creatures of the planet Earth. And I will disclose that a lot of my thinking lately has been heavily influenced by watching different people speak. And right now I think the blockchain backer It's a crypto channel, but the BCB, the blockchain backer, does an amazing job at pulling together all of these threads of different charts and commodities and indexes and telling a story with them. And his story, I think, is really geared towards when is my altcoin portfolio going to take off. But I think there's a lot that we can kind of glean from his thoughts. So I'm going to share some of those. Go check out his video today from March 4th. It's one of the better ones in the last couple weeks, showing this macro picture. And so I'm going to kind of paraphrase some of the things I learned from him, but again, putting my own spin on it, my own uncomplication lens. Okay, so here is the interesting thing about this moment in time. If we look at COVID-19 in March of 2020, so just about 2 years ago, right? We saw a big drop in the DXY along with a drop in a lot of other markets. And then we've been steadily marching back as far as the US dollar and its purchasing power, despite printing money. I mean, a lot of that was going on here in COVID times. That's what really brought everything down. But we have been on the rise. The DXY has been kind of crawling out of this hole. But right now, today, as we speak, this is what the blockchain backer pointed out, we have come up to, and as of right now, have seen a rejection at that 0.702 Fibonacci retracement level. So these fibs, they're really easy to draw in TradingView. You grab the fib tool, you go from the high point of a recent move, and then you go down to the low point of that recent move, and it draws these Fibonacci retracement values. And the 702 is this spooky, interesting point that in charts, even going back to before the stock market was computerized and automated, there are these sort of natural resistance levels that are respected. And gosh, if I zoom in here, we can see that at this present moment, we have come right up to the 702. I mean, to the pixel on my screen, it's to the pixel. And we are now, we are deflecting down from it, a rejection on that 702. And that is something that happens in this moment. And then there's a retrace back down. So we sort of today have hit this high water mark, at least for the immediate midterm of the U.S. dollar's purchasing power. And this could all turn around. This is not like I really am able to say with any certainty what is going to happen, but it's really interesting to see right now in this moment, again, to the pixel, even on the 1 minute chart, we have this rejection, and now we're moving back down. So what could this mean, not just in the charts, what could this mean for maybe our crypto, but also for our lives and livelihood in the world? Because as the dollar drops in purchasing power, we're also seeing a ramp up in the cost of the commodities required to run our civilization. So oil is on the rise. Things like precious metals and materials used in building, copper, lumber, even wheat and corn, and all of the things that we humans rely on to be sheltered and fed, those things are going up while the US dollar today hit sort of a high point and is now deflecting back down. So why am I bringing this up? I have been carrying with me sort of these two worlds that I've been trying to put together. One is my own crazy inner life and my hopes and dreams and desires, my relationship. I've been trying to crawl my way back out of, losing my identity from, my past 10 years of work. And, my focus has been so heavily on living in the moment and being connected with the people I care about and realizing that today is the day, that the people I love are here now, and that I want to express myself in the world, not waiting for some greater future time, but right now, today. That is where life happens, and I've come to realize what a delusion it is to expect life to just go on in this green field, green pasture of opportunity forever. And I've been thinking a lot about Ukraine. I have direct lineage, direct ancestry from the Ukraine. And I'm trying to put myself in the position of those humans, the real human beings who were a few weeks ago doing the same things I am, going to work, worried about the bills and the job and who slept with who, and all of the interpersonal stuff that consumes our time on the day to day. And then boom, just like that, history comes calling and there's blood in the streets. And now all of those human concerns are now wrapped up in these bigger patterns, these bigger playing outs. And my heart goes out to the people of Ukraine who are living an experience that I cannot imagine, just going from the day to day to the terror of armies marching into your neighborhoods. And there's empathy there on the human level, and there's also that recognition that that can come for any of us at any time. The last video I posted was this meditation on death and dying well. I've been kind of consumed by this topic, having just lost a friend recently, and remembering how quickly things can change. And that it's not an infinite green field. And so I'm not here to make anybody scared. That's not my objective. It's just this really interesting point in history where we are seeing in real time some of these big historic structures playing out. And so if I go back here to the DXY and we just kind of talk about what this might do, let's look at it in terms of market, but let's also just think about what that means for our lives. And then when this video is over, what do you want to do with your day? March 4th. Do you want to sit and obsess about things that are in this digital space, watch YouTube videos, click buttons for trading stocks? Or are there more important things to do? And I'll tell you that when I'm done with this video, I am leaving this computer and I am going and finding people I care about. I know, I'll get off my soapbox, but holy shit, people, let's pay attention here. So a couple things. First, let's look at kind of the optimistic picture. If you're in crypto and you've been following along and hoping that your various investments or opportunities are going to yield something, it's interesting that every time the DXY, the dollar currency index, dips, I'm just going to draw these lines for where this just happened recently, and let's just assume for the sake of argument that we might see another little dip here as we get a rejection off the 702, which happens. Let's bring up the BLX. Let's bring these both up. Okay, here we go. So you can see when I move over here on the left side of the screen, on the right side, that same little timeline is moving. So these are looking at two charts side by side. And let's take a look at what has happened when the purchasing power of the US dollar has gone down in relation to Bitcoin and crypto. So if we just go to that COVID-19, actually no, here's the, December of 2016. This is where we saw a big drop off in the DXY. And you can see on the right side, I'll zoom in just a little bit. You can see on the right side that as the DXY dropped was precisely when we were in our big bull run for Bitcoin. And even the peak is like within a week of each other. You can see here as the DXY fell, the BLX was on the rise. And then in the same way, as soon as the BLX was going back up is when we entered the bear market for Bitcoin, all the way back up here to April of 2020. Let's scroll over. And so then the next time the DXY took a digger was in COVID-19. And as it went down, we kicked off our bull run of 2021 all the way up to that peak. And then again, in a spooky fashion, as the as the DXY recovered, Bitcoin went into a downtrend. And so now here we are again, and if we have another downtrend in the DXY, there is a high correlation historically that we will see a pump into crypto. Because what happens is, now the news, now the sentiment is that the dollar is failing, things are getting more expensive, Bitcoin is on the rise, everyone's going to start FOMOing into Bitcoin again and into these other assets. It's not just Bitcoin. I'm sure we're going to see a run on the precious metals. We're going to see a run on certain commodities. And that, again, looking back at that DJI, I'm not sure if I brought that up yet. We'll look at that. Where we have this bubble that's sort of formed. And these are exactly the elements that create a big blow-off top, a true blow-off top in a market. It isn't just from this organic kind of calm, oh, you know what, I think everyone's going to go start buying Bitcoin now. It's a driven frenzy that is propelled by large events, and we have now all of the recipe to create a situation such that the currencies of the world are in decline while the the hard assets, the commodities, and even the digital assets are all of a sudden sought. And these are cycles, so it's not just this is the flippening of the dollar and now Bitcoin is the new currency. I think that if we look at the DJI, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, as a lesson here, let's see, let's make this large. And I have a lot of these on the log scale just because, again, I like to see the structure. But, this is a big, against the US dollar, this is a big moment of rise. And I think, again, BCB, Blockchain Backer, such a cool guy, does some cool stuff. He often overlays the crash of the 1920s in relative scale to this point in time where we are in the Dow Jones today. And so if we were to put that other kind of ghost bar image, what the stock market did in the 1920s was it had one more big leg up before it absolutely tanked. It's a hypothesis anyway, that we're sort of in the midst of what could be this one final run up. And again, this is on the log chart. So if I take this off a log, you can see what, kind of parabolic move this would actually entail. But, what comes after that? And I'm just, speculating here and, again, trying to figure out, we are a planet, we are a organism a bit out of control. We are destroying the environment in a rapid fashion, and that is sort of a boom and bust cycle of an organism. And this very well could be the historic opening pages of this big chapter of the 21st century, where we see a rebalancing out of the equation. I think that when I describe how a lot of us have felt, just this onward march towards our own future, our own success, our own business, our own enlightenment, just this future look that we're on this up curve and it's never going to end, I think is ignoring the historical realities that there are cycles to these things, and there are wars, and there are moments where a previous system that is reaching its zenith has those signs of destabilization and then eventual collapse. There's no point in history where that hasn't been the case. There isn't a single time in history that you could put your finger on that timeline and you couldn't say that was the time before the war or whatever the next big thing is. So this is just, again, it's not supposed to evoke panic or fear because there's not much we can actually do about this. Sure, you can go move into Bitcoin because it would be a good thing for the DXY to go down for crypto, but it's a bad thing for people living in neighborhoods. It's a good thing to have your altcoin portfolio explode, but is someone going to take your, I don't know, Snoge coin for a loaf of bread if wheat prices are through the roof? I just think that it makes more sense for me to be checking in with these things as a reality. Again, like that death meditation, like we are living in a finite experience. And every minute of it is an opportunity to be creative and to be connected and to put our investment in time and energy into the people we care about, into the experiences that drive us. And that's what I am going to focus on. I'm not going to stay up at night worrying about the state of the world because I don't have any control over that. We were born into this world. None of us asked to be born. And it is our mindset that enables us to live every day as a gift, even if it's in panic, even if the tanks eventually roll through your streets, or who knows what could happen. This is the experience of life, and it is woven together with the thread of tragedy and sorrow and pain and all the things that we don't want to think about, that we don't want to accept. We want to just be pro-life, pro-everything good, and not see that in order to create anything, there is required the destruction of something else. And I posted a kind of a rambling musing to my Patreon community yesterday, but I had this dream the other night. I had this dream that I was a mouse being eaten by a cat. And in this dream, it felt like an enlightenment. Like I was asleep, I was dreaming, but it felt like the kind of revelation, the kind of enlightenment that that one can experience in life. And so as a mouse being absolutely torn to shreds by a cat, I could feel the pain as real as any pain that could be felt, of claws and teeth sinking into my body, ripping me apart, ripping my arms and legs, and just devouring me. And that recognition that for all the birds that eat mice, for all the cats that eat mice, the mouse's destruction in blood and terror is the very essence of the grace and beauty of the hawk and of the cat. And so this death, this destruction, this pain is not bad. How could it be bad? How could the universe make that bad when it is, again, it's the water that nurtures everything? And so seeing things in that way, seeing ourselves not as these big, solid, rigid egos that just have to go on, but as people here now living and hopefully living in gratitude for all of the people that came before us, all of the things that had to happen, all of the people that had to die for us to be here, that is a liberating thought. It takes, for me, it takes the necessary, I have to fight against this. I have to say no to this. And it instead puts me in a place of acceptance and participation. And it's real. This is real. This is real life. And I am going to hug my people today. I'm going to hug them hard. I'm going to tell them that I love them. And we're all going to hope for the best. But be willing to prepare, or be prepared to accept the worst. And yeah, my wheels are turning. I'm thinking, what does this actually mean to put this kind of content out into the universe? Because it feels anxious. It feels scary. But maybe I'm just trying to explain this part of it away. But I don't see it as that. I see it as a wake-up call and an opportunity. Just like knowing your death will eventually happen can help you live now fully, knowing that anything can happen, good or bad, tomorrow. Your altcoins might hit, and it's the greatest moment you've ever had, and then something else might come in out of left field and wash that away. So is that really where we want to put our expectations and our focus? Or can we just sit and breathe and look at things like these beautiful flowers that I have on my desk and just be in awe of the depth and mystery of this thing that we are not just a part of, but we ourselves are doing? Yeah, that's a weird crypto video for you, but that's kind of where I'm at. That's kind of where my feelings are. I am hungry for connection with people. I am enjoying the people around me. I am, still kind of struggling with these personal failures and things that I'm trying to overcome. But I actually think that having this bigger perspective, this zoomed out perspective, and coming back to these beautiful landscapes. Where's my landscape? Yeah. Zoom out. When in doubt, zoom out. And here we are, these sensitive, growing, living, loving beings in the midst of a world where energy flows and matter cycles. And it's cycle after cycle after cycle, bringing about new novelty, new interesting stories, new things. And the goal is not to live forever and to hang on to it. I think the opportunity is to be present with it, to experience it, and then to let go of it, and to go back into that which we came, and know that it all just goes around and around. So, yeah, that's my video for you today. Holy shit, pretty heady. I hope it's also a little hearty. Open up your heart. Open it up. I know it's so hard, but just accept yourself, accept things as they are, and look around and realize that we're all together in this, and that we all desire that same affection and attention and participation. So let's open up. Let's get out there and let's love on each other, and let's be here. Let's be here for this moment in time. It's a big one. We'll see what happens, but let's be here. Let's be present. Let's not hide from it. March 4th. Cheers.